This is the Speak For Yourself podcast featuring the best of Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock. I'm your host, Jason McIntyre. Throwback Thursday, everybody. Got a little hoops for you, some football, even a little pop culture in today's podcast. Whitlock turns to social media to explain the Kaepernick situation like only Whitlock can. Cowherd says never in his life has he felt more confident about a team going into a season that they're going to the Super Bowl than he feels about the New England Patriots. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard joins the show to talk about LeBron's playoff run and how it's better than anything we saw from Michael Jordan. Super Bowl champ Eric Davis says the question about Colin Kaepernick is not if he's being blackballed from the NFL, but why he's being blackballed from the NFL. Does James Harden have enough to win Game 6 tonight? Does he need it to cement his MVP season? And finally, we discuss Cam Newton's 28th birthday party music video. I'm just going to avoid comment on that one. I mean, come on. But Greg Jennings compares Cam to the Kardashians, and Whitlock drops a Snoop Dogg verse. Ready for Speak For Yourself? Cowherd and Whitlock, take it away.
Welcome to the show. We'll tell you how LeBron James has already surpassed Michael Jordan.
And why Cam Newton is about to take another big step back. Speak For Yourself starts right now.
Big step back? Like he was doing dance steps.
Yep.
Stepping forward. He's doing a step show. All right, hello and welcome. We're joined today by Fox NFL analyst Greg Jennings and Super Bowl champ Eric Davis. Let's start in the NFL, where the Arizona Cardinals sparked some outrage in social media by signing Blaine Gabbert, while Gabbert's old rival for the 49ers starting job, Colin Kaepernick, is still out of work. Kaepernick is arguably more effective than Gabbert on the field, and people have been saying for months that the activist quarterback is being blackballed. Now the Gabbert signing has given those accusations new life via social media. Colin, does the Gabbert signing prove Kaepernick is being blackballed?
No, it proves the same thing I said about Tim Tebow. My backup to my backup, which is what Gabbert is, cannot have any fans or any detractors, or in Tebow or Kaepernick's case, both. I want you to be Drew Stanton. I want you to walk through a sports company, and I don't know who you are. This is a backup to a backup. By the way, nobody's been tougher on Tebow at any sports company than me. And I always said the same thing. You ain't good enough to be popular or unpopular. You are a backup quarterback. And I got no problem with Kaepernick, or Jay Cutler's better than all these guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jay Cutler can really sling it.
Yes.
That's 210. I mean, Jay can't get work. Tony Romo's better than Cutler. But at this point, he couldn't get latched onto. So, you know, my whole thing is everybody, here's what I find fascinating. Colin, if I'd have told the average columnist a year ago, write a Kaepernick story, you'd be like, God, nobody cares about Kaepernick. Everybody's letting their politics show. We didn't care about Kaepernick a year ago. He'd been benched for Blaine Gabbert, who himself is not great. Why is Kaepernick now popular?
It's ridiculous. And what this proves to me is that Blaine Gabbert is less delusional than Colin Kaepernick, because he just signed a one-year deal, probably for the veterans minimum. Is Kaepernick willing to accept that? If he is, he might be back in the NFL. But he is so delusional that early on we heard he wanted $8 to $10 million. And you've got all these people gassing him up over that fake reality world of Twitter and social media. Oh, you should be a starter, and it's racism. Blah, blah. No wonder he's delusional. People are causing him to be delusional by what they're telling him.
By the way, this is what people told Tebow.
Yeah.
I mean, by the way,
Tebow couldn't play. Tebow couldn't play. Tebow at no point showed the skills to be an NFL quarterback.
He beat Pittsburgh in a playoff game.
He beat Pittsburgh in the playoff game, so you want to throw that out there. So guess what? Cap has beaten plenty of teams. He beat teams in the playoff game. He went into Lambeau in one game. Yeah, you know. You saw it, right?
And he beat us.
Yes, he did. So let's not do this. Yes, he's being blackballed. The question is not whether or not he's being blackballed. The question is why he's being blackballed. You can be blackballed for different reasons. Ray Rice was blackballed from the league. Okay? He was blackballed from the league because of what he did. So it's not a question. So the issue is whether or not, and we keep talking about he's delusional and he won't take the backup money. Is he being offered the backup money? Is he being offered the minimum contract? No, because he's being blackballed. But it happens. That's one of those things. And what he does off the field cannot outweigh his production on the field. I agree with both of you on that. But you can't sit here and say that they're not looking at this saying, we don't want this guy in. You want guys that are going to make your team better, okay? Blaine Gabbert doesn't make anybody's team better.
Well, yeah, but Kaepernick I don't think does either.
Kaepernick, but if you're talking about an opportunity to see if you, because this is very good for Blaine Gabbert going there with Aaron and having that coaching.
I don't think he makes the team. I honestly don't think Gabbert.
Yeah, you do need cap arms, just like you need cap legs. That's true.
For me, is he being blackballed? Yes. Does he deserve to be blackballed? Yes. When you look at a backup quarterback, to your point.
A backup to a backup.
A backup to a backup.
It's a third quarterback.
I don't want him coming into a locker room disturbing what we've already created in our culture. When you look at Arizona and what they've put together, we all thought that Arizona was a Super Bowl contender last year. So with them bringing in a Colin Kaepernick, that takes them another step back where they're already trying to build on what they didn't do last year.
How does that take them a step back if Arians can get him in and he starts to play well? Because
he's the third quarterback.
So if Blaine Gabbert has to play, you think you're better?
Here's my problem with Colin Kaepernick as a quarterback. Even in that system, he doesn't even fit that system. Like, so we're talking about something that just, it doesn't even match. It's not a married match.
What system does Blaine Gabbert fit?
I don't know.
Let me ask you this. Let's say you're the biggest Kaepernick fan in the world. Would you at least acknowledge, let's say you just love Kaepernick, not even politically, you love him. Would you acknowledge that coming off a 5-11 season when you were benched for Blaine Gabbert, you won 2 of those 5 games, it was reported by Jay Glazer, who doesn't miss on this stuff, you turned off the room.
Where's this 5 wins you talking about?
No, the year, I'm talking this several years ago.
Oh.
So before the knee.
Yep.
Could you just acknowledge that you lost your job to Blaine Gabbert before the knee, and yet, with no leverage and diminishing leverage, you went protest? Acknowledge he doesn't even get the temperature of the room. Nobody goes into a church and swears. You don't go into your boss's office.
But you know what? Some might also say, and I'm one of the guys that will say it, that takes a certain bit of moxie when you're in that situation. He was at his lowest point possible.
It takes a lot of stupidity. It takes stupidity. Call it moxie.
He was at his lowest point possible, knowing that it could possibly run him out, and he took a stand for something that he believed in.
And then opted out of his contract. The dude is delusional. He doesn't even have common sense.
But he opted out of his contract. It didn't matter opting out of his contract. They could have released him anyway, and they were going to. He opted out of his contract to give him an opportunity to try to get on with another team.
If you lose your job, forget Blaine Gabbert, I don't want to pick on anybody. If you lose your job in this NFL as a quarterback, that is not a great time to go socially active. That's just your time. We all have to understand. You walk into certain timing in this world. By the way, the NBA has always been a players' league. You know this. NFL's not a players' league.
It's not.
It's a shield league.
Muhammad Ali didn't protest after Spinks or Larry Holmes beat him up. He was protesting at the height of his career when he had power and leverage.
Understood.
This guy is delusional, has no common sense, needs help from people that really are well-intentioned, not using him to increase their platform.
But that has nothing to do with him being blackballed.
Well, let me just say this, Eric. Everybody keeps saying, well, he's not even being offered this or offered that. And you know, and we know that deals are cut behind the scenes. His agents are talking to coaches and executives.
Yes.
And coaches and executives know exactly what he's asking for. And if he started out in a place, as soon as the January or whatever, February came up, and I heard the dude wanted $8 to $10 million, he's off my board.
Yeah.
He's stupid.
Meritocracy only really counts in every industry in the top 20%. After that, it's like, is he healthy? What's his contract? Who's his agent? Does he know our coordinator? I like him. At the end of your career, largely in the beginning, it's different. But in your last year, it was, I like Greg. Let's get him on the roster. You know, he picks up a playbook really fast. You know, my agent represents his. That's the way the world works.
Very true. I agree. It's who you know.
To the Super Bowl champion Patriots, who have shown no signs of slowing down this offseason, making major acquisitions like Stephen Gilmore, Brandon Cooks, that kid's going to be a monster, helping them the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl yet again. But not everybody's impressed, including former Colts GM Bill Polian.
They're a great team. They're not as great as people would like you to think they are. They're not invincible. What they are is exceptionally well constructed and exceptionally well coached. But Tom Brady's not going to play forever. And he showed some signs of being human last year on a number of occasions, including in the Super Bowl.
All right, you agree with Polian?
100%, because I understand exactly what he's saying. First of all, he's saying the Falcons did some of the dumbest stuff he's ever seen in his life to blow that game, and we'd be having a completely different conversation if the Falcons and Kyle Shanahan weren't idiots. That's one. Then he's also saying, look, this isn't the 49ers teams with Joe Montana and some tremendous defense and blah, blah. This is a team that sits back and lets the other team self-destruct. It wins through intellect and patience and strategy more than it just comes out and dominates you and kicks your butt.
Okay, but let me just throw this out. So this week it came out, they were favored in every game.
Yeah.
In every game. So I called R.J. Bell in Vegas, and I said, I'll give you 24 hours. Call your people. If Brady didn't play and Garoppolo was the quarterback, how many games would they be favored in? Because with Brady, they're favored in all of them. And he goes 12. And I'm like, okay, do we see what's going on here? That the Patriots would be favored to win more games than anybody in the league with a backup at the most important position. That ain't the league's gaining on you. Gronk left, the best red zone target arguably in the league, not a quarterback. Left,
I agree.
And they won a Super Bowl. I don't think it's getting closer. I think the gap, Favre out, Peyton Manning's out.
You disagree with Paulie?
I think New England, I have never in my life felt going into a year, you can just put New England in the Super Bowl. Now, I don't know who's coming from the NFC. I honestly felt last year and this year, New England's in the Super Bowl. It's Alabama playing in the final playoff.
Disagree. Their margin of error isn't that great.
What Polian is saying, I agree with him. And this is the thing that when he says it's a very well-constructed team, they're a very well-coached team. And Tom Brady, it's like Peyton Manning. Him under center automatically gives you 10 wins. That much I think you can go. You can look at that and say, you're going to get 10 out of this quarterback. He'll find a way to manufacture that. But I disagree. What I'm saying, I don't think that you can just put them in the Super Bowl. Because they're talking about they won the offseason. How you win the offseason? I don't even know if Brandon Cooks is going to do what he did in New Orleans. I don't know if he's going to learn the playbook. There are guys that have gone to New England and couldn't get on the field because they couldn't do what was supposed to be done. Stephon Gilmore, very talented player who underachieved. For some reason, we believe that everyone that Belichick gets his hands on, they turn into all pros. We forget, there are 90 guys on that team right now. All 90 aren't going to make it. Every player that he drafts doesn't make the roster.
Well, Albert Hainsworth was a bust.
These things happen, and we always assume that it's not going to happen for New England. That's why everyone is penciling them into the Super Bowl like you're doing.
So I understand what Bill Polian is saying. I don't agree on when it comes to, is this team invincible? No, I don't think they're invincible. Everyone's beatable. But the way they're constructed, that's what makes them so special. The way they are coached, that's what makes this team so special. When you look at Stephon Gilmore, you mentioned him, he's not going to be asked to do the things that he was trying to do and get done in Buffalo. That's the part that makes them so special and so different. Brandon Cooks isn't going to be asked to do and carry as much weight and load as he was in New Orleans now that he's with the Patriots. That's what makes this team so special. When you can leave a Gronk on the sideline and you still get better, that's unheard of. No one does that.
Now with Peyton out and Favre out and Big Ben close to out, we have this batch of new, really talented quarterbacks. Don't you all kind of think going into a game, Brady against even a good quarterback like Matt Ryan, you kind of feel like pre-snap New England has an edge? And then with Belichick, you think, I got to get at least a field goal. Like New England's got like a 2 field goal edge going into virtually every game they play. Who else in the league has that? They have the intellectual edge at coach. They have the pre-snap edge with Brady. That's a big edge.
I think he would agree with you on all that. What he's saying is, if I can get the right coach, I can take some of these teams that are more talented and beat the Patriots. Bill Belichick has established a culture that's so far superior to everything else that it helps them win games. But you take, I don't think you were on this Packers team with Reggie White and when Brett Favre, when they won the Super Bowl. Like, Patriots would have no answer for Reggie White. I watched them play. Reggie, I think that was a Belichick coach team that they played in the Super Bowl. And Reggie White was just tossing that offensive tackle to the side. They were sending 2-3 guys.
No one had an answer.
Nobody.
That's what I'm saying.
Nobody.
No. I'm telling you, he's saying this isn't a great team. It's a great culture that makes them great. He's a little bit jealous. He's never liked the Patriots. He's a guy that's
correct in what he's saying.
Change the rule.
I'm saying he's correct in what he's saying. There may be some jealousy there, and he's upset about it. He takes this stuff personally from those losses. But I agree with what you're saying, that you get the right coach that understands how to attack what they have, because we're still assuming that everyone that has come in is going to play at the highest level and get everything worked out, and everything's going to fall into place. It's a very good team, constructed well. They're going to win games. They're going to be in the playoffs, but I'm not giving them the Super Bowl right now, because there are guys who haven't done a thing in that uniform that have to prove it, that they can do it there.
I feel you, and I'm in the same boat. I wouldn't give it to them, but why not give it to them?
We had a discussion about
why
they win every game? Go for it.
You have to play the game, but for me, it's like when we look at the Super Bowl, and Bill Bowling talks about there's things in that game that made him seem like human. Yeah, but he finished. Like the first half was the first half, the first three quarters, whatever. But what we remember is the end of the game.
Any other coach
with the Rockets, we remember James Harden in that overtime.
All right, coming up.
All right, welcome back. Joined now by Fox NBA analyst Chris Broussard, Phoenix Suns forward Jared Dudley. Let's move to LeBron, who has been rolling through the playoffs so far, making quick work of the Pacers and Raptors, 8 straight. Been so good that, in fact, that Michael Jordan might want to take note. LeBron has started the playoffs 8-0 for the second time, which Jordan never did. He just passed Jordan in the playoff series wins. He's likely on his way to his 7th straight finals. Hasn't been done since the 60s. Whitlock, is this version of LeBron better than anything we saw out of Jordan?
Listen, I said, oh, stop in the middle of that. The 2017 playoff LeBron we're seeing is at a level higher than we ever saw Michael Jordan.
Oh.
Check the guy's shooting 56% from the field.
You're joking, right?
He's shooting 56% from the field, 46% from the three. He's rebounding.
Against Indiana and Toronto.
He's in the NBA, man.
Better than MJ. You want to talk? Because I got something to say.
This playoff version of LeBron, we haven't seen basketball like this, Chris.
Do you remember the 1993 version of Michael Jordan? In fact, 91, 92, 93. In 91 against the Lakers in his first finals, he shot 56% from the field. Averaged 31 points and 11 rebounds against the Lakers. Magic Johnson,
that's a good one.
6.5 rebounds. But that's not even the best one. Against Phoenix in the finals, first of all, he goes through Dominique Wilkins in round 1. Then he goes through the Cavaliers, Mark Price, Larry Nance, Hot Rod Williams, Brad Daugherty when he was still healthy.
Let's retake. Yes, I agree with Chris.
Let me just give LeBron, listen, whether it's Elon Musk with rockets or Henry Ford with cars, visionary's a visionary, great's great, smart's smart. Okay, doesn't matter what era it is. Let me just give LeBron this, though. In the middle of LeBron's career, the sport changed. No more centers, 3 points. Can you imagine?
Changed in his favor.
No. A power forward.
That was in his favor, though.
That was
no more great big men.
Okay. But now, LeBron, you need to guard guys on the perimeter at a 6'9" enforcer and learn to shoot the 3. If in the middle of my broadcasting career they said, no more teleprompter, in the middle of sales career, no more phones, you'd be like, hold on, let me recalibrate. In the middle of LeBron's career, the entire sport has changed. It is a 3-ball revolution. He has not only been able to recalibrate, he is now in the playoffs the best 3-point shooter. You got to give him credit for that.
Look, he's playing tremendous basketball. I'm just saying it's not better than anything we saw from Michael Jordan. I didn't even finish against Phoenix in the finals. Jordan averaged 41 points.
Are you trying to just beat
in the
me up
finals,
and embarrass me completely?
Shot 50%.
I don't even think it's the best version of Bron. I think when he was in Miami, I thought that was a better season he had, better playoff run. Even the playoff run when he was with Miami, when they were going to the finals, he was just going through them. The competition level, to be honest with you. I played in the East when I was with Washington. I mean, he first played Indiana, who squeaked into the playoffs, right? Then he goes versus Toronto, hobbled, no Kyle Lowry. Same thing with Draymond, how he's talking about the Eastern Conference.
There's no difference.
He would have been a difference, maybe a game. There's no real competition for him right now that he has. The last time was the Celtics.
Okay, but there's
the Celtics. So you're saying the East is not as good as the West?
It's not as good as the West.
Thank you.
And with Jordan, I mean, like, come on, what Jordan was doing back then, the competition, LeBron is walking to the finals.
Can you give LeBron credit for the 70 coaching changes in the East since he got to his first finals? Much like Nick Saban, there's been 37 coaching changes in 10 years in the SEC.
LeBron's fired.
That just means there's been a lot of bad coaching.
No. What it means is that Saban, Belichick's done this in the AFC East, 22 coaches since he started going to Super Bowls, that with LeBron, Belichick, and Saban, they are so dominant, they force teams into chaos.
Including their own.
No. LeBron gets a lot of credit for this Eastern erosion. People are firing coaches quicker. They're less patient with GMs. They're overpaying for average players. Some of this is created by LeBron is so great that we acknowledge that if he went to Brooklyn, they could win the East. That people now don't know how to act with LeBron. They don't know how to draft with LeBron. Toronto's like getting guys who they think are LeBron stoppers. He's making everybody, the whole league now is based on, do we just have to wait till he can't dominate? Part of this Eastern erosion is him.
And he's making media crazy, too.
Can we
because
stop
we're forgetting about Michael Jordan.
Get the clown suit off of me, Chris. You put a clown suit on me. Get it off of me. We got to move on. To Houston, where James Harden and the Rockets will try to force a Game 7 tonight against the Spurs. Harden has had an MVP-caliber year, but let Game 6 slip through his fingers with more turnovers than points in overtime against the Spurs team without Kawhi Leonard and Tony Parker. Kawhi is a game-time decision for tonight, and of course Parker is out for the year. Colin, does Harden need to win this series over the hobbled Spurs to validate his season?
No, MVP is a regular season award, but it'll hurt him next year. Remember when Derrick Rose won the MVP, and then he got embarrassed by LeBron? The following year, he had similar numbers, missed 26 games, but had similar numbers. We didn't think of him as the same D. Rose. If you're an MVP and go out and just implode, it really hurts you the following year. And where people go, okay, he's great, but we've seen him against the greatest in the biggest games. Let's be honest about Steph Curry. Steph Curry, after last year's finals, I mean, he's had a great year. We don't think about him the same. We don't think about Steph now like we did a year ago.
It's a good point, but I do think what is happening in this playoffs is making me recalibrate everything about Westbrook and Harden. LeBron looks so much better than everybody else that I kind of feel silly. Like, what did I really watch during the regular season? Because, look, no one takes the regular season seriously. LeBron is showing that this time of the year is all that matters. And what I'm looking at this time of the year just makes me disrespectful of the entire regular season and the product I saw. I feel silly for not supporting LeBron all year.
I usually am pro player on this one, but I do think so. You know, he wanted the MVP. You know, he said that he thought it was his award over Westbrook. You told me before that there would be no Tony Parker, that Kawhi's not going to be 100%, and he can't beat them. I think that he needs it for him. He's been to the Western Conference Finals already when they had Dwight Howard. He has D'Antoni here. They are maybe not the better team because you say it just because of Popovich. If you switch the coaches, you would say you say Houston would win, right? And he's the best player, right? Between him and Kawhi, and Kawhi's not 100%. He has to take over, redeem himself for last game with those turnovers, get to Game 7, and that's how you start your legacy. That's when we look back, hey, should he have got the MVP over Westbrook?
I don't think he has to necessarily win the series. I think he has to play great in the clutch. Okay, because this narrative is beginning to roll that James Harden doesn't deliver in the biggest moments of the games. He was great in Game 5 up until the last few minutes of fourth quarter and overtime. And we've seen that time and time again with him in the playoffs. So if they got to win tonight, force a Game 7. If they lose a Game 7 in San Antonio, Kawhi's great down the stretch, but Harden is great down the stretch. You can't blame it on him. I think that's enough. But if he struggles again, turning it over, missing shots, then that's going to be a problem.
Remember, most of the NBA regular season, October until February is football season. Most people don't watch. Then in March is college basketball. The NBA's always been about now. Like we all talk about, the last regular season I gave a rip about was the first year LeBron was in Miami.
Yes.
Like I was watching those games. This whole thing about regular season MVP stuff, guys, the world's most popular sport, or ours, is football. 70% of the regular season of the NBA, we ain't even watching it. So you gotta be great now. This is what we talk about 20 years from now. Now for Harden.
I 100% agree. I think, Chris, you're on an island here. Listen, you're talking about Kawhi beat up. I think LaMarcus Aldridge has a knee problem that has hurt his effectiveness. Tony Parker out. And he can't beat this team?
I don't think he has to win. Like I said, to me, the most important thing is he has to deliver in the clutch because it's a regular season award, to your point. Now, you may differ. I don't think Westbrook hurt himself by going out in the first round.
Yeah, but Westbrook, we look at that as a one-dimensional team. Let me ask you, John Wall loses to the Celtics when we know Washington's got better players. I don't care how John Wall plays. That dings John Wall. You got to beat Boston.
He's been great. He has been the one to deliver.
I'm saying if you don't, he's got better starters. If John doesn't beat the Celtics, you're like, John, come on now, you're number one pick. You got to carry a team.
All right, welcome back. Greg Jennings and Eric Davis are back with us. Let's move to Cam Newton, who turns 28 today and celebrated by releasing a completely over-the-top music video in which the former MVP lip syncs to the song Birthday by 2 Chainz, all while partying on yachts and in clubs with his entourage. Colin, do you have a problem with Cam's birthday video?
Yeah, but it's generational. Like, the idea that a quarterback that's had 4 losing seasons in 6, if Andy Dalton did that, you'd be like, what are you doing? This is one of these things where I just generationally, like, I don't understand what the Kardashians do and how it makes them more popular. I'd be like, they don't sing, they're not actors, but every embarrassing moment, they're more popular. So this is one of those moments where I watch it and I'm like, I guess if you were like Aaron Rodgers great or LeBron, I'd be like, oh, I totally get it. This is Andy Dalton. This is 4 of the last 6 years, losing seasons. I don't get it. I don't think it has self-awareness, but I think generationally, I miss a gap here.
This is HBO Ballers.
Yes,
this
yes.
This is Ballers.
There you go.
That's what this is. But again, I have a problem with it. I'm just going to be honest with you. He put it out on his Instagram. Thank God for this day. He brought God into it. And then you go to the video, and all I want for my birthday is a big booty hoe. That's what he's rapping about.
Well, at least he knows what he wants, man.
Again, he's got 2 kids. He's got a girlfriend.
A couple tablecloths out of it.
So that's my birthday wish as well. But why can't you just keep it private? I never understood this thing. And again,
I think that's generational. You and I grew up with private.
No, I grew up poor. I grew up seriously. And I just don't understand this thing of shoving my success. Look how great my life is. Look how successful in other people's faces. I don't get it. But I really don't.
But it's just that. It's generational. As the father of 20-somethings, okay, that grew up in this and doing it and seeing it there. You go again. I told you about getting all of my business. But seeing it, it is generational. It is Ballers. It is YouTube. You're going to get on the gram and you're going to put these things out there. Why are the Kardashians popular? I don't know why, but I know that they are. And they show off what it is that they do. It's the off season. This is what he's doing, and you look at that, and all that.
Chloe play quarterback?
Hold on, but all that taping, it's the offseason, and all that taping, that's one day, okay? He flips off a yacht, he's in the club that night.
No, I'm not bothered with the time element, Eric. I'm not bothered with, like, I don't think it took away from football.
Yeah.
But
so if you don't think it took away from football, why is it an issue?
No, it's not an issue. I just look at it and I think, to do something, this is brazen for an average player, and he's an average player. He really isn't.
Got an MVP.
No, but
he got an MVP.
Rose.
For me, is it today's social society? Absolutely. I totally get that. Personally, I have a problem with it because I've had a problem with Cam's maturity since the day he walked into this league. This confirms it for me. This is just my personal opinion. When I got released from the Minnesota Vikings and I went and visited organizations, the Carolina Panthers was one of them. The first thing I asked Ricky Pro as the wide receiver coach, and then Rivera as a head coach, how is Cam? Like, how is he? You know what their response was? Yeah. He wants to win. The kid really wants to win. You know what I took that as? So do I. So do everybody else in the league. But what is he doing to actually win? They ended up going 15-1. He had a great year. he had a really good year that year. I'm not going to say great. The issue that I have with it is it's never been consistent with Cam. There's too much inconsistency, and this shows me consistency. This is who he is. You alluded to it a couple days ago. He said he came into the league saying, I want to be an entertainer.
Icon.
Yes, yeah, he wants to be an icon.
This lets me know that he has one eye on football, the other eye.
Yeah, I mean, that's
which most players do. Which most players do. Most players have lives. Most players have lives. Outside of it, you know that.
But that's different from a lie. Again, I don't think this takes from football. Most players do have lives.
If it doesn't take from football, then it doesn't matter.
It's an indication of a lack of self-awareness.
That's what it always is with me. To me, I never really cared about the Wonderlic, but with the Wonderlic, especially today, you can study for it.
Yeah.
So if you got a low score, what would really bother me was, hell, you didn't even study for it. That would bother me more than your score.
You know, if, like Michael Vick said, I didn't study the playbook and I wasn't prepared to play. That bothers me. Tom Brady going to the Kentucky Derby, that doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother me. But
Cam taking a day to do this like he took a day to do that, there's no difference.
I'm going to tell you right,
is there a self-awareness
that wasn't
issue?
A day.
Oh, dude, that can be shot in a day.
That could have been, but it was several days.
But even if it did take some time, it's the off season. I played with guys, and that's the thing. I played with guys that did a whole lot of other things, but when it came to work, they put in work.
Let's end it with Snoop Dogg. Game is to be sold, not to be told. He's just telling. He ain't making a dime. He's just telling. I don't respect it.
This is the Speak For Yourself podcast featuring the best of Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock. I'm your host, Jason McIntyre. Each and every day, check us out on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, SoundCloud. We're all over social media. We got the Cam Newton Instagram video up. Oh, gosh, it's so tremendous. No show tomorrow. We're dark. We're back on Monday, obviously, to talk conference finals, and it's NBA Draft Lottery Week. I'm fired up. Have a good weekend, everybody.